For many years now, Russ and Craig have had many wide-ranging conversations with folks from all over the gaming world. This is one of those conversations.
D6G, the Lost Chapter.
So, Russ, you got me into this whole Cascara cold brew at that other place, right?
Yes.
And you're telling me like they don't have it anymore, which is just rubbish. But my problem is because it's that other place, it costs a fortune. That's my problem.
It does.
And you know what I got right here? Now, it's not quite the same thing. Doesn't have the
foam
on the top, and which I do prefer. No artisan sprinkle of crystallized sugar across the foam.
And I bet the size is just called large and not venti.
It is. It's not. I believe you mean Bainty. Are you not Bainty?
It's not written in Fritalian. I think they say.
I believe.
Wait, that laugh, Craig, can only come from one person.
That Buonocore is right behind us. Anyway,
what are you doing in Dunkin' Donuts, Steve?
Yeah, because the darn Starbucks down the corner closed down for some reason. There's a one-horse town. So
I had
to come to this place. I can't believe you're making me drink this swill. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, you like
wow.
Like this coffee,
fighting words.
Wow, man.
Even the Canadians don't talk like that.
I am a man of refined taste, so Starbucks at a minimum, and of course I go to those places that have the foam on the top and things like that. Yes.
Got to have the foam. Now, Stephen, what is your preferred coffee beverage order?
No, it's at Starbucks. It's a venti dark roast, black.
Oh,
you guys,
nice.
I just get coffee. I like coffee flavored coffee.
I want coffee in my coffee.
Unlike your beer, where you'd like to.
Right. I want a double shot of black. Is that possible?
at Starbucks, I like the Sumatra. I like the really strong, heavy. And I never put anything in my coffee.
Take this to a booth because the guy behind the counter is giving us.
Yeah. Shh. Let's talk about that when we get that coffee. Okay, I'll have a Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Yes, thank you.
So since we're all here, have you guys seen the latest Marvel film? Have you guys seen?
I have.
No, I didn't see it. Just kidding.
What? Of course you have.
Of course I saw it.
Now, Stephen, how would you rate yourself as a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan? Like, part-time fan, find it interesting, hardcore. Where are you on the spectrum?
Hardcore. Buonocore is hardcore.
Oh, wow. There you go.
It's almost like you set me up for that, but I don't think you did.
Yeah, sure.
I think you just jumped on it with both. You Buonocored that, man.
You did.
You Buonocored that. And it didn't even ask for it.
There you go. I'm usually into the Marvel universe. I don't come from the comic book side per se. I did not read the comic books, but everything about Marvel past that and all the animation that they did and stuff, I was into all of that. So the early Avengers series and things like that, I tried to follow everything like that. And I had some really good friends who were very, very, very much hardcore comic book people. So I've got a lot of grounding in all the stuff that came before. But now that we have the movies, of course, and the MCU, I'm a very big follower of the whole thing.
Nice. So
I'm right there with you.
Where were you on the excitement meter for Ant Man versus Wasp? I mean, did the first Ant Man really strike a chord with you, and you were excited for the second one, or where was that?
Yeah, when the first Ant Man was announced, I was like, really? No, but I said that knowing that actually, one of the core Avengers. So I assumed that they would do it well, but at the same point, it was like he's not as interesting necessarily as some of the other ones. So, but in the end, with that first movie, I really thought that they did a great job with it. They kept him real. They kept his story interesting, and Rudd was
he's awesome.
He's so good, and we'll talk about how he did in the second movie. But yeah, so I gave the first movie an A. Just thought it was fantastic. No complaints whatsoever on that, and was very excited about Ant Man versus Wasp. So Ant Man 2. I had high expectations for the movie.
Now, Craig, were you in the same place, or what was your feeling?
I actually exactly the same place when they announced it. Yeah, I'm totally just going to ride your coat. When they announced it, I'm on record as saying that I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was like, seriously, you're going to do like with a raccoon? Yes. It might be neat for us, but it's really not going to be like a major win for the studio.
Yes.
And also on record as it's one of like maybe my top 5 favorite films of all time now.
Yes.
So I kind of was willing to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I was like, Ant-Man, really? Seriously? Like to the point where I was, when we were reviewing for the final in my honors English class, just about a month ago, I have this big smartboard presentation that I call up that I don't look at except once every year or so when I'm doing the review for the final. And I must have written this grammar example before the movie came out, but after it had been announced, because I can't remember specifically exactly what the sentence said, but it was a grammar example about how lame a superhero Ant-Man is. So I was like, wow, I really didn't like Ant-Man before the movie came out. But when it came out, I thought it was so funny and so heartwarming, and yet at the same time they did such a great job of fitting it into the MCU. And I think that movie, I've always liked Paul Rudd. I've always thought that he was a funny character, but at the same time he could kind of hook into, like the emotions a little bit deeper than like a Seth Rogen or one of those other funny guys that doesn't really have like a deeper a depth to them, I don't think, at least that I've seen. Mm-hmm. And Paul Rudd's always managed to do that. But when you add that into the MCU and you add the whole story, I mean, it's hilarious. It kind of makes fun of itself a bit with the whole talking to ants thing. And at the same time, it presented you with a really cool story. I loved it. Loved the first movie. And so was very excited for the second movie. Now, I know this is where we're going to talk about this more later. I was really intrigued for the second movie after the end of Infinity War.
Oh, my God, yeah. Oh, my God, yeah.
To the point where, did we already say, everybody, there's like, this is going to be full of spoilers if you haven't seen them?
Spoiler alert. Yeah, for both all the whole MCU. So if you're not caught up on MCU,
yeah.
If you're behind in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, pause now, go watch all the films and come back.
Pause and watch Infinity Wars and Ant-Man versus Wasp. And
right.
Like 20.
And all the other ones. Right. and 6 seasons of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and come on back to us.
That's right. You got to watch everything and then come back and listen to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Adam's
cursing our entertaining banter that he's going to say and listen, even though we're going to spoil it.
All right, Adam. Well, we apologize in advance.
You have only yourself to blame.
You should have watched it.
But here's the thing about that. So they had already kind of set the expectation that this was going to occur before.
Right. Yes.
The Infinity War. So I was expecting zero tie-in.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was really expecting no tie-in at all. So I found the end fantastic, but I really was thinking no tie-in.
I was expecting zero tie-in, but before I went and saw it, I was talking to our friend Matt, and he had seen it, and everybody else was like, I don't know, Ant-Man, I don't care. I was like, I care, and Matt was like, I thought it was really good, and I was like, hey, what about at the end? Did they like tie it in? Does like everybody disappear? And he was like, why would I tell you that? I was like, yeah, I said it as a joke. And then you get to the end and I was like, oh my God.
So,
well, my favorite part,
improbable, 3/4 of the team gone.
My favorite part about that was actually the audience. Yeah. So I'm watching it with so funny story about Ant-Man. My wife and oldest daughter are deadly afraid of ants. So they both are huge fans of Marvel. In fact, my oldest daughter could care less about Star Wars, but will not miss a Marvel movie, except for Ant-Man. She will not watch Ant-Man, and she will not watch Ant-Man versus Wasp or Ant-Man and Wasp. Now, my youngest daughter loves all the Marvel movies, and she and I went to see Ant-Man by ourselves, and so we decided to go again and watch this. So we're sitting there by ourselves, and we had just gone on a family vacation, so we're seeing it late. So we're like watching this thing 2 weeks late. So the theater's not very full, but in front of us are some really hardcore Marvel fans also, and they hadn't seen it yet either, you could tell. And they're cheering in all the right spots, and they're really into the movie. And so the very end comes up, right? And so the credits roll, and then they do the scene where, they cut back, and there's just the dust floating there. And the guy in front of us just yells, and pardon my French, effing Thanos!
That's great.
It was freaking hilarious. It was perfect.
That is great.
But it was awesome. That tie-in was fantastic, and I really liked it.
So here's what I did. So obviously I had good expectations for the movie, and they were met. And we'll talk a little bit more about exact expectations, but as far as the tie-in is concerned, I thought it was either going to be one of two ways this was going to go down. Either the direct end of the movie was going to tie into Infinity War, or it was going to happen in one of those end, whatever you call those things, post, during credit things. Yeah, I'm allowed to say what it is now, right? I mean, we're
spoilers alert. We've already
said it. So, they did it right. They made the movie, so they didn't have to worry about, somebody 2 years from now just watching this movie and saying, why did that happen? That makes no sense. They made the movie, excellent. And then they did as the first trailer, whatever you call it. Credit post. Yeah. The first thing, they tied it into MCU. I 100% believe they would do that. And that was the way that I believe they should do it. It was the right thing to do. They knew, A, they did Ant-Man. B, they brought Ant-Man into the main MCU when they had him in Civil War, right? He was locked up, right? In Civil War, they had him. And then Tony's like, "Who are you?" I thought that was great. And that little thing thing in Civil War is brilliant. He's like, and who are you? Yeah. And he's like, and Paul Rudd, Ant-Man's like, he's like shrugging, like, "What? You don't know me?" So they had him. He's in the main portion, and then right there at the end, they tie it directly into the movie. Now, how they get from that moment into obviously, I mean, all right, let's continue. So Ant-Man is now going to show up without a doubt in Infinity War 2. What is that called? Did they give it a name yet?
They haven't told us. No,
they haven't given us a name. At one point it was called Infinity War 2, but I think they're changing the name of it. But he's absolutely 100% going to be in there. Somehow he's going to get out of the thing he's in.
Microverse, wherever he is.
Microverse. He's subatomic. He's beyond subatomic. He's a quark. I don't know what the hell he is. He's going to get out of that thing. He is going to then get there. And by the way, and I prognosticated, use that word, Greg. I prognosticated that it would be him surviving his movie, not Wasp, and therefore he's going to be all in this amazing amount of angst about Hank and about her, Wasp, and about everybody, and he's going to be there helping out defeat Thanos.
Both Wasps, Wasp 1.0 and
Wasp Junior and Wasp Senior. Right?
Yes, there's two Wasps now, so to speak. Right. Yes, which was great. That was great. By the way, all the acting, amazing. I don't know where you want to go with this, but I thought Michelle Pfeiffer was amazing. I thought Michael Douglas, that fossil, was amazing.
What'd you think about the younger versions? They did a lot of the old, I think like every actor in the movie who was over the age of 30 or 40 had a scene where they were like 20 something.
Absolutely astonishing. I have no idea how they did it. How did they make 75
I thought that when they did it with her, it was flawless. I thought, and I'm like, brain actress's name. You just said it, and I
Michelle
can't
Pfeiffer. Yeah,
Michelle Pfeiffer.
I thought that was flawless. I thought it was more interesting with Michael Douglas. They almost kept him in the shadows, almost like they knew they wouldn't be able to. Like, we've got the budget to do this with one actor.
Yeah, but there's so much footage of young Michael Douglas. I feel like he could piece it together.
Yeah,
I thought they did a good job with all of the whatever they did to make them look young.
So Adam's asking in the chat room, Stephen, if you were used as his younger Douglas.
Did he really say that?
Did he really? That's right. Why they kept him in the shadows.
Oh, that's so funny.
Adam, I think you tricked onto something.
Yeah, I think you got that, Adam. I think that's right.
I have been called Michael Douglas in the past. Like I look like Michael Douglas, but I always say to myself, I look like a younger version, not the current version. But no, I was not asked to be his younger self. But I'll go back. I like to go into the acting a little bit, and we mentioned how wonderful Michael Douglas was. We mentioned how wonderful Michelle Pfeiffer was. Evangeline Lilly, that's her name. Very good. But yep. Paul Rudd, you mentioned this a little bit, Craig. Paul Rudd is astonishingly good for someone who comes out of comedic acting. And when he was acting like her mother.
Yes. Oh my God. Ridiculous.
That was, I'm like watching him. I'm like, yeah. That's what I would try to do and not do it as good. That was really amazing. I thought he was very good at
excellent. Directing and acting is what that was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly was.
One of my favorite scenes in the original movie, and they did an awesome job revisiting it, was Luis, Michael Pena's character, when he tells a story.
Yes.
And they've got all of the actual actors, but they're doing his body language.
That was awesome. That was one of the best scenes.
All-time favorite elements that they've now built into this part of the franchise.
Michael Pena is just out of control. He's
awesome.
A, he's in everything, and B, he's great. And everything great. He just keeps adapting into these characters. I mean, I guess he started as in The Martian. I guess was that like what was his biggest role? I just keep seeing him in things. He's so good at it.
He really is. But you're right, Craig. That storytelling scene where they use his language and lip syncing all the actors.
Evangeline Lilly, when she's when he's giving her dialogue and she's just whipping her head all over the place. Oh, it was so funny.
So good.
Perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was so good.
And I thought the emotions of his character, the arc of his character and the relationship with his daughter was, I thought, phenomenal, especially in a comic book movie, and I thought it was great the way they tied her in with the relationship with the Wasp, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to be his sidekick, but he chose you instead.
The daughter's fantastic. And you're right. Ant-Man's relationship with her, they bounce around in this movie from at times almost like Deadpool level silly comedy, and then all of a sudden back to these emotional moments in a very effective way. And I was really impressed by that. And I think also what I liked, Stephen, you mentioned this a little bit too, is there was actually the double timeline tie-in, which the obvious one at the end with Thanos, but the beginning, the house arrest and the ankle bracelet, that's all obviously direct results of Civil War. Right. So you really know from the beginning, what you're tied in with. And what was neat about it was from the beginning, you're thinking, okay, they're taking place right after Civil War. Well, 2 years after, honestly, but after Civil War, that's where it's going to sit. And then they tied the thing on the end also. But you're right, you guys. The acting throughout was fantastic. The writing was great. I thought the story was perfect. I'm really trying to find things I can pick on in this movie because I liked everything about it.
I think it might have been a little too comedic. But that's just a personal taste. I mean, they went to the level of the last Thor movie. I thought it was a little bit too much.
Now, did you feel like it was more comedic than the first Ant-Man, though?
I do. I think it was a little bit more, and therefore, I mean, I got to go back and rewatch that maybe to compare the two. I'm not saying this is that too.
I'll take the hit.
You'll take the hit.
Take one for the team and just force myself to watch it.
Just watch it again. What the heck? But I mean, maybe I kind of like my superheroes more serious with that comedic edge because it's important. Now, obviously, Deadpool's it's in the universe of itself, right? Deadpool is
literally it's in a universe of its own.
Literally in so many levels. Which by the way, that second movie again was brilliant.
It was good.
And the best part was the end of the movie. Actually, of all the parts of the movie that was good, the end of the movie was incredible. But
well, here's the thing, Stephen. I think that's interesting. So, I thought Thor Ragnarok was a little too. When I first saw Thor Ragnarok, I enjoyed it immensely, but I also felt it was a little too. I literally walked out of the theater saying to my family, it was almost like they liked Guardians of the Galaxy so much they made Thor Ragnarok too much Guardians of the Galaxy with the pop rock music instead of being inserted into it, and then also sort of the comedy level. But once I saw Infinity War, suddenly it made sense, because in Infinity War, Thor hung out with Guardians the entire time, and wasn't he a great fit there coming right out of Ragnarok, right? So coming right out of Ragnarok with the same sort of comedy, with the same sort of, modern music playing, sitting in the, the chair next to Rocket, having that same music, all of a sudden Thor fit.
I believe you mean Rabbit.
Yes, Rabbit. So I think what they've got going on now in the MCU, which is really interesting, is they've been trying to balance out some of this thing where they've got to have these very different sort of movie styles occasionally work together. And what's interesting about this is I kind of agree with Craig. I feel like Ant-Man 2 was still in the vein of Ant-Man 1, but I do wonder if they're kind of moving in a direction. Is he going to hang out with Guardians in the next one again? They might be heading that way with him also, but it's interesting. They have to kind of balance this out. So they have some of the heroes like Captain America and Iron Man, who are way more, serious themes typically. But then you have Guardians in the literally same movie, who are completely bonkers, and the fight, and I'm now mentioning my movies now, but it's interesting to see them try to blend all this stuff together.
Right. No, I see exactly what you're saying. I'm just
going to be central to the next Infinity War movie, because they've already established that in the quantum realm, time is different.
Right.
Go backward and forward in time. So I don't know how much they want to do that. If they go too much into that comic booky stuff, I think they're in danger of losing a bunch of the people who aren't comic book people, who are fully invested in the MCU and were kind of like gut punched by Thanos' snap, right? So I think if they get too comic booky in oh no, he can go back in time because he's tiny, I think there's a danger there. But I think that is going to be an element of how they kind of unravel, or at least deal with whatever they're dealing with in the next big movie.
Speaking of that, what are we looking at for the next movies in the MCU?
The next one, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel is next, and that's not until next year, right? That's a 2019 release.
Yeah, we're done with 2018.
Right, and then I just Googled it just now, and then there's an untitled Avengers film, which that's got to be
2. Yeah,
right. That is Infinity Wars 2, and they still haven't titled it, which is I think amazing. Right. Spider-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and then other potential projects. So I know that they're winding down. I think, I don't know if you know this 100%, but allegedly they're winding down this portion of the MCU, and then they're going to kind of reboot or reestablish the characters, and then move forward with another huge overarching storyline.
I believe that's the plan. Yeah. I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's like a end of this phase and a beginning of the
new major story arc. Right, the story arc is ending.
Right,
and we know
have interpreted that they're going to be killing off a large portion of the first 10 years worth of characters.
Yeah.
They're going to, you said?
That's the theory that most people are holding to, yeah.
I don't think you're going to kill that many people. But I do think, so here's the interesting thing. So they've been releasing more and more little details about Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. And so apparently Captain Marvel is going to take place in the 90s, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So that means it also is a prequel, but it will introduce us to her character. And we also know, obviously, from the, little bit of Easter egg in the last Infinity War that, Nick Fury managed to signal Captain Marvel as he was vaporized there or whatever. So she's obviously going to be involved in the next Avengers movie, and she'll be set up for this. But I don't know that there'll be much in her actual film that deals with what happened in Infinity War, unless it's something similar to Ant Man and Wasp. I think it's going to be her own story that's going to be standalone. So you get to introduce her. We might learn some of her powers, and have a bunch of theories about how she can help then, because there are different flavors of Captain Marvel, and some of them involve the ability to mess with the fabric of space-time. So if she's got that one, then she could also be another part of the formula to how they undo this.
Yeah. I think it's going to be, the tie-in will be almost exactly the same as we just saw. There'll be this little thing that happens at the end and the credits probably to tie in to into the next Infinity War, whatever they're going to call it. But I think that she will then become very critical, obviously in Infinity War 2. Not only that, but then she'll continue the franchise, I think, going forward. And I think another very strong, a new strong female superhero is going to be a great thing for the MCU. So I'm excited about that. She's had many, from what I know, from what I've read, many incarnations. So her powers could be almost anything they want them to be. So it should be very interesting to see how it's going to be. But I agree that manipulating reality is probably going to be part of it.
Yeah, should be cool. I'm looking forward to that too.
Now, get back to Ant Man a little bit. I loved the cardboard universe that he built for his daughter because he couldn't leave the house.
That's so cool.
I thought that was hilarious. And the way they introduce it, and you don't know what's going on. You're like, oh my God, is he like in an ant tunnel? And then his daughter's with him. Did he bring his daughter into an ant tunnel? And then you realize what's going on. And it's like, and then I love the way they then tie that back where he goes, do you have any idea what I have to do to entertain her? I can't leave this house. I built an entire cardboard universe, so, and again, Michael Pena is out there doing all the special effects, but he's like trying to ramp up their new business. So he's not really paying too much attention. And I just love that aspect too. I used to build all kinds of cool, big, giant things with cardboard when I was little. So
I used to build everything out of cardboard boxes. It was the greatest thing.
Well, my favorite part, speaking of small universes, was the end during the credits when they showed shot-for-shot scenes from the movie done entirely with miniatures.
Yes, that was awesome.
That was awesome.
Gosh, that was
as a miniature gamer,
cool.
I'm like, this is fantastic. And what I couldn't tell was it really good CGI or were there actual physical miniatures there?
Well, I thought they were physical miniatures, but whenever there was like anything like that was kinetic, it was floating, like glass and other pieces. Like if something was exploding, so that made me feel like it was probably CGI. But then it might have been CGI added after the fact. Onto a 3D model. I mean, because if it was CGI, they nailed it, which is hilarious that they spent that much time and effort on the credits.
Well, either someone did a lot of work in CGI or someone painted a lot of miniatures.
Right, there's a lot of work.
Either way, because it was down to like the scene where he's pushing the truck in the street. Yeah. And in the miniature version, you can see the pavement ripping up like he's leaving a trail. Like I noticed this because I'm a miniature gamer. I'm like, oh my God, look at the detail. It was like crazy. And the painting was like not GW level. Like it was really interesting. It was almost like old toy soldier level.
Yeah, it was like model railroady.
It was like model railroad level painting, which again was also interesting. But I just thought that whole thing was really cool because it's like a play on the whole miniaturization thing. But it was also, as a miniature gamer, I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah, I thought that they actually made those specific pieces either only for the end credits or because they wanted to show some cool sequences that they could do. Yeah. I think that they were actual physical pieces that they created, which is
they could have been 3D with 3D printers. Now they could have cranked them all out, but it was still interesting to see that. It was
amazing.
Now, as a fan of Killjoy, Russ, I hesitate to bring it up, but I think I have figured out going through the IMDb page where I might point to or I might dig for a little weakness because I didn't.
Oh, you didn't like her? I thought she was fantastic.
No, I loved her, but I didn't. Yeah. The navigation of is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? I thought could have been done better. And I think like halfway through the movie, I was like, oh, okay, so she's done nothing wrong. In the movie, she hasn't. We get the idea that, she's been an assassin. She's probably done a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
But in the movie, she's a good person, basically. And so ultimately, everything's going to work out. And it did. So I felt like that, that mystery was given up a little early. if that makes any sense at all.
I thought that she did a very good job with the role she was given. I like the fact that she was put in a position where there were essentially like three separate antagonists. Like there's like a triangle of people going after different things in this movie.
Right.
And I'm a big fan of Killjoys, by the way, as you guys turned me on to them 2 years ago on this show, and I started watching them and can't wait for the next season, which starts, I think, in a few days from now, right? Something like that.
Oh, does it? Oh, cool.
I think it's the end of July.
No, it's soon. It's soon, yeah. And she's been in a lot. She was just in Ready Player One also, so she's been getting some play.
I missed Ready Player One, but I will go back and see it.
Oh, you got to go watch that.
I will see. But I think she did a great job. It was a little weird. Is she good? Is she bad? Is she this? Is she that? But that's kind of cool. It's like kind of keeping you on your toes. So I didn't mind that. In the end, you saw where she was. It worked for me overall.
Yeah, I liked her.
I did,
and I liked her suit. I thought her suit was awesome.
Her suit was awesome.
Of course,
her suit was a Tau stealth suit.
It was, yeah. Although it wasn't because she was Tau stealth. It was really the suit was a Tau regulator suit.
Hold her together.
Yeah, but I thought her character was amazing. I liked.
Now, how about Walton Goggins, the guy, Sonny Birch, the bad guy who's looking for the tech?
Yeah,
did you like him?
Yeah, I couldn't find any flaws in this movie. I liked everybody.
His accent was a little thick.
Oh, okay. I liked him. I liked his henchman. I liked the henchman of what's his name? I liked the security advisors there. Every time someone was on the screen, I enjoyed their performance. Like I love when
the security guys tased the bad guy henchman at the end.
Yes, yeah. So I liked everything. I thought it was
walking to work. We're just going to work, and we saw this happen, so we thought, hey, we can help.
Right. So yeah, I was not disappointed in any way.
Right, there you go.
I guess I'm easy to please in this one, but I was happy.
I think it was very pleasing.
And my youngest daughter thought she enjoyed it better than the first one, which I was happy to hear because she normally is a very harsh critic of these sorts of things.
Really? The youngest daughter is a harsh critic?
Oh yeah, my youngest daughter's. We joke about she will leave a movie and she will succinctly stay in like one line. She'll just rip apart the
premise.
Like we left a wrinkle in time, and the only thing she could say is, "I don't understand why they're flying around on a salad shooter." Like that was her line.
Wow,
and Wrinkle in Time was not a good film, unfortunately. But this movie nailed it. She was really, and she also rips apart any she does not like. My oldest daughter likes Star Wars. She just doesn't love it. My youngest daughter rips apart every Star Wars movie. I can't get her into Star Wars, which is to my chagrin, but it's a different generation, it's a different time, whatever. But Marvel, she loves. Harry Potter, she loves. And Ant Man and Wasp, she loves. So there you have it.
She's got good cred.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Anything else about Ant Man versus Wasp? Did we capture the entire essence of this movie?
Oh, I think we did. We covered a lot.
I think we have gotten the essence, and it's been good.
Essence of the ants. Yeah. So yeah. All right. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for joining us here in Dunkin' Donuts, despite the your concern about coffee quality. I do appreciate. Yeah. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to having you on the big show here in a week or so.
I can't wait to be on the big shoe. All right.
Thanks for purchasing a D6G Lost Chapter. Supporting the show helps it grow.